Good evening, delegates. My name is Georgina Washington, and on tonight's episode of Feuding Federalists, we are covering the divisive topic of education. A field of expertise that was previously designated for the elite has been gradually extended to every economic class. Or has it? We're welcoming Alexandra Hamilton and Thomasina Jefferson to discuss the impacts and ramifications of the privatization of education facilitated by block grants and school vouchers. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Georgina. I'm Alexandra Hamilton, and I'm representing the Federalist Party of our great nation, the United States. Like my fellow party members, I am in support for the Constitution, a stronger central government, separation of powers, checks and balances, and economic policies strengthening our nation's economy.
Hello, everyone. I am Thomasina Jefferson, and I am here to represent the Anti-Federalist Party. And what my party believes is definitely not the Constitution. We fear centralized power, and so instead we are in support for state rights and economic policies that strengthen local economies while also advocating for a small republic.
To start our night off, I'd like to pose an opening question to you all. How does federal oversight and funding of education impact the central government's relationship with the states? Is there the right amount of intervention, or should the extent of federal involvement be increased or limited?
Thank you for your question, Georgina. Regarding funding citizens' education, it is necessary for a developing nation to maintain a strong central government, overlooking the direct funding of public educational institutions. If our government wavers and allows for the privatization of education, that is to say, promoting local control over education, such as private and charter schools, as well as school vouchers, more power would be allocated towards state governments. As a result, each state would form her own subject curriculums and emphasize different educational values, which will no doubt disrupt the national cohesion of education. As I wrote in Federalist number 70, energy in the executive is a leading character in the definition of good government. It is essential to the protection of the community against foreign attacks. It is not less essential to the steady administration of the laws, to the protection of property against those irregular and high-handed combinations which sometimes interrupt the ordinary course of justice, to the security of liberty against the enterprises and assaults of ambition, of faction, and of anarchy. Federalist number 70 expands on the necessity of a single executive to act as a unifying figure of our nation, energy, and to act effectively and decisively. Applying the need for an executive branch to education, it is crucial for there to be a single power unifying states' level of and understanding of education. Federal involvement should be increased, providing a distinct curriculum across multiple subjects and ensuring that all citizens reach the same national benchmark of education.
That is absolutely quite the viewpoint, Alexandra, even if not correct. To respond to your question, Georgina, I believe the federal government should increase their involvement when it comes to education. While I may not agree with all points of the Constitution, the 10th Amendment states all powers not appointed to the federal government nor denied to the states are to be delegated to state governments and the people. One such power is that of schooling or public education. The point of the 10th Amendment was to ensure a checks and balances between government at the national and local level. As such, it is the state's responsibility, rather than the federal government, to create regulations around education. As for funding, while grants are a great resource, when they are categorical, there's almost always a caveat that accompanies it. The state receives money to allocate towards facilities, but must follow conditions imposed by the federal government. For this reason, I'm not too keen on the idea, and yet again reinforce my point that education should be a state matter rather than nationwide.
I take interest in points both of you made, because we observe elements of them in the modern day. There are large disparities in literacy rates and mathematical abilities between the states with varying contributing causes. Some argue that federal provisions have failed to cover the needs of every student, whereas others argue that it's instead been a failure of the state. The enforcement of federal regulations on every level of public academia could reveal or cure the source of the differences. Funding could be used to regulate public institutions and make education more regimented, potentially facilitating higher learning and provide more opportunities to Americans. However, it may also worsen the problem and directly impose on the rights of states, as stated by Thomasina. There is potential for a general education platform to not suit the learning styles and needs of all the state's children. Thus, it could create new disparities and leave the problem unresolved. Thank you for your input. We'll now take a short break.
Have you been searching for a way to forward your educational journey? Well, a way to elevate any writing you do is to invest in a quality pen. That is where our sponsor, Founding Fountains, is here to help. With pure, rich Gall ink, an ergonomic grip, and minimal smudging, The Quill 87 is the perfect companion as you craft an essay, or 85. Delegates have said that the Quill is the most fabulous pen to grace paper, and you can experience that same glee. Use our promo code FoundingFed10, that is FOUNDINGFED10, to claim a 25% discount on your order of the Quill 87 and receive a free wax seal to sign any documents you may wish to publish. Thank you for listening, and let's return to the episode. Welcome back! I hope you enjoyed our intermission. How are you feeling, Thomasina? Alexandra?
Thank you, Georgina. While some views have irked me quite a bit, our fellow guest in particular may have some dubious and perhaps ignorant viewpoints. Nevertheless, I have enjoyed the discussion thus far, and my values remain firm and intact.
I also appreciate the gesture, Georgina. While my good contemporary seems to be in favor of giving the federal government stronger, and may I even say oppressive, control over states' rights and responsibilities, I am faring quite well.
I'm glad to hear that you guys have enjoyed your times here, and we're ready for the second question. How do school vouchers impact the dynamics between the central government, the state governments, and the citizens?
It is in my perspective that school vouchers aim to provide access to students for private education. While school vouchers can be beneficial for individuals who cannot afford to attend private institutions, many still will not have access or knowledge of them, thereby further increasing educational disparities within our citizens. As my fellow colleague James Madison writes in Federalist Number 10, if a faction consists of less than a majority, relief is supplied by the Republican principles, which enables the majority to defeat its sinister views by regular vote. A faction can represent private educational enterprises, which can promote sinister views due to their private curriculums. A strong central educational system combats potential corruption within education by providing a standard national school curriculum. Additionally, yielding to state control of education would potentially endanger the separation of church and state. Our colony's populations have increased from resentment of the English unification of church and state. As more individuals immigrate from England to the United States, they seek for a clear division of religion and government. However, school vouchers can be used to fund private, religious-based institutions, allowing for religion to be intertwined with education.
I have to both agree and disagree. I will agree with you by saying that standardized testing can provide a general overview of students' progress in their academic careers, but it will be more suitable at the state level. If it were to be a national matter, it could lead to oversights on local needs. According to my boyfriend Brutus, in a large republic, the public good is sacrificed to 1,000 views. It is subordinate to exceptions and depends on accidents. In a small one, the interest of the public is easier perceived, better understood, and more within the reach of every citizen. Abuses are of less extent and of course are less protected. If the federal government were to get involved, I say a more suitable alternative would be block grants. In contrast to categorical grants, block grants are money given to the states to do what they see as best fit for the issue at hand. As such, block grants would be especially beneficial as they divert power from the federal government to the states. In regards to education, this will provide state governments with the opportunity and adequate funding to better address inequities, such as those found prevalent between public and private schooling.
You have both crafted valid points, and there was actually a similar thought regarding state testing with the No Child Left Behind Act passed during the Bush administration. The federal policy required schools to implement state tests that needed to reach a certain score threshold to secure funding. In retrospect, it has been deemed ineffective by the public due to its emphasis on scores, leading to faults in students' educations. As a result, we've begun to progress from the teaching style into increasingly aware learning. However, school vouchers remain a permeating, divisive topic. Despite being deemed constitutional by the Supreme Court in 2002, many states contain Blaine amendments in their constitutions outlawing them. This creates an observable division between state and federal judgments. Although allowing the use of block grants and categorical grants to attend religious institutions could be a way to facilitate Americans being able to practice their religions, it could also be seen as a sanction given by the government to the religion. Additionally, providing large block grants to schools could increase deepening deficits, jeopardizing the national economy. There are various facets on this topic, and we have only covered a fraction. However, it's time for our daily duel. We will review the questions posed on this episode, and you, the audience, get to decide the winner. Let's begin!